Hello, everybody. This is Tonetta with True Sense, and I want to thank you all for tuning in to my YouTube channel. And I wanted to start this video of the evening talking about the field of social work. Some of you all may not know, but I am a social worker. I've been a social worker for, I think, 21, 22 years now, actually. Actually, you know what? This is 2019, so I've been for 20 years, actually. I'm sorry. But I did graduate from school with my bachelor's degree in social work. I cannot say it was a good thing. I cannot say it was a bad thing, but I will give you my truth sense, I guess I put it that way, as I go throughout this series talking about the field of social work and some of the things I encountered, some of the jobs I've had, some of the experiences I've had, and also some of the experiences I've had with employee and employer relations, which can go just across anybody's business, if whether they own the business, they're an executive there, it does not matter. Those kind of topics can go across any kind of business field that there is. But like I said, I want to start this first video in this series talking about the field of social work. And some of you all may have, of course, heard about social workers. Some, of course, when I first say I'm a social worker, or I don't like social workers, or that kind of thing is what I normally hear. I guess I'd say that. A lot of people just don't seem to like social workers. They feel that they take people's kids all the time. Some feel that they're lazy. Some feel like they don't know what they're doing. Some feel like they're just always slacking off and that kind of thing. But me being in the field for 20 years, I can tell you that social workers do none of those things. I take that back. I cannot speak for everybody. I speak for myself and some of the folks that I work with. I guess I put it that way. But of course, mainly myself, because I'm working on myself right now. But like I said, as far as dealing with myself in the field of social work, I never slacked off. I wasn't lazy. Yes, I worked in the child abuse and neglect, and I'll get into that in a different video. But it wasn't that I was just taking the kids just take them from the home. Nothing was going on. But I'll explain to you all that process. Like I said, at a later date when I get into that video talking about that particular experience and that particular job, I guess I'd say that. But like I said, as far as me being in social work, I know that from all the folks that I've worked around, I can't say every single one of them, but a lot of them were, of course, dedicated to this field. Of course, worked their asses off to make sure that their clients had what they needed. Like I said, speaking for myself, I can't say for every single person, like I said, but I know I did, so I guess I'd say that. I guess I'll just stick with myself. But like I said, I know I did that every single day to make sure my clients had exactly what they needed in order to thrive, in order to live, and those kind of things. I guess I put it that way. As long as they're willing to, of course, do their part in the process and me not just doing everything for them. Because that's one thing I never did do for my clients, just did everything for them at all, unless it was, of course, court order. In my mind, I expect for my clients to, of course, do at least 75%. I come with the other 25. Like I said, I have to see that you, of course, are wanting to do whatever it is you're trying to do. You want to go back to school. You want to find you a house. You want to get an apartment, all those kind of things. I'm not going to do all these steps for you and you do nothing. I guess I put it that way. Like I said, I want to see you do something, and then I come in with the tail end and assist you with the process. I guess I put it that way. That was always how I've done my social work. Like I said, I know there's others, of course, who've done things in different ways, which is fine, because I know I've listened to some of the videos on here as well about some of the other ladies that were in the field of social work as well, how they love their jobs and how they did this different, did that different, which was awesome. But like I said, I'm speaking from my experience and what I've been through and what I know as far as the field of social work that I've experienced. I guess I'd say that. And I kind of want to take a little bit of time as well. So I know I did write down a few notes just so I could come to you all with this video today. But as far as a social worker is mainly somebody who advocates advocates like for their clients as far as making sure they're getting the services that they need. There's a social worker, somebody that, of course, will step in to, of course, work through that whatever kind of social system that client's going through or having troubles climbing into, I guess I put it that way, in order to receive those services. A social worker mainly is a person that wants to help the world become a better place. I guess I can say that. I know there's a whole lot of folks out there who want to do the same thing, but as far as actually having the degree in social work, you're, of course, a helper. I guess I'd say that as far as helping people, helping facility, I guess whether you're working like a residential facility or you're working with clients in a nonprofit or you're working at a hospital, that kind of thing. Like I said, you are a helper, you are an assistant trying to assist that person in creating a better life for themselves. And in the process, you're, of course, advocating for that person as well. You are, of course, busting through those doors that those clients can have problems sometimes getting through because of the situations that they're in. You're doing all those things. And like I said, I'll talk to you all more about that as we get farther along in this series with the jobs I've had and with the experiences I've had as well. I'm trying to see because I did write down some notes. Just to let you all know, I do have a bachelor's degree in social work. I did complete my first year of the master's program, but I did stop in that program, I guess I put it that way. I was paying a lot for that program, whether it was loans, grants, or whatever the case was, and I just was not learning anything. I felt that I was wasting my time, my money by being there, and it was not going to be that much of a jump in salary either anyway once I completed the program. So I said I'll just stick with the bachelor's. I knew it wasn't going to be something I wanted to do for the rest of my life, which at this point is not, actually, I put it that way. And I'll talk about that at some other time as well and later on in this series. But like I said, as far as the master's program, you can obtain a master's. You can obtain a doctorate degree if you want to in this field as well. Some people have LCSWs, which is a licensed clinical social worker that allows you to do, I guess, like therapeutic work and things like that. There's all kind of licensures that you can receive in this field. Now, the pay, I could not tell you what the comparable pay is per licensure or per degree, that kind of thing at all. But what I will tell you is having a bachelor's in social work, I really haven't got much far, I guess, like that far in the payment, I guess I put it that way, in my salary, that kind of thing at all, I guess I'd say. I know I used to hear people say if you love this, you have to come into social work, you have to love the field, love the people that you work with because the pay is not there. And I was like, okay, maybe they're just saying that, but no, that's the truth. I should have listened to those people back in the beginning, which I'm listening now, and that is one of the lessons that I had to learn, I guess I put it that way, that the social work field is not going to pay you a lot. Well, I mean, it'll pay you enough to, of course, sometimes live off of. A lot of the folks I work with, of course, they have families, they had kids, they're working multiple, like one or two more jobs, that kind of thing. But like I said, for a lot of them, they were working at least those two jobs, the main job as a social worker and a part-time job just to make the ends meet. And like I said, there was one thing I had to learn in this field, that no matter what the classroom tells you or the teacher tells you about this field and how you're going to climb up the pay ladder, and I guess, well, maybe it's just the state of Missouri. I don't know. It could be just the state of Missouri. You don't make that much. We're like the number 1 or number 2 lowest paid state in the whole 50 states, I put it that way. So we don't get much payment here in this field at all. Actually, across the board, actually, I put it that way. Depends on what you're doing. But for most of the fields like this, especially with a woman's profession, a helping field like this that people look at as already downtrodden, they don't do nothing, they don't speak highly of social workers at all a lot of times. Like I said, the pay just is not there at all. We do have, it's the National Association of Social Workers. I don't know if it's technically a union, but you can, of course, join that. Of course, that's like a yearly fee, that kind of thing. But I was going to say I don't think it's a union at all, but it's just a group in social work that you can join, a National Association of Social Workers. So you can stay abreast on what's going on in the field, with licensures, with different businesses, with different things that you wanted to do and all that kind of stuff. So, but like I said, as far as unionized, there has not, to my knowledge, been any unionizing in the field of social work, unless the job you're working at has a union, that kind of thing, which a lot of the times they don't. But like I said, that's something that probably could help the field increase the salary, I guess I put it that way. I don't know. But it just seems like, since this is a woman's profession to me, and it just seems like nobody looks at, not everybody, but a lot of folks don't look at social workers as being a top dollar, I guess you could say, profession. It just seems like we don't get a lot of salary and money in this field. And like I said, I know that could be Missouri as well. So I see other states, and I have talked to a few other people that's in the field in other states like New York and different things like that, that's making a lot higher pay. And I'm sure that's to compensate for the rent prices and all that kind of stuff as well. But like I said, as far as the salary, you don't get many, in my experience, I haven't got many raises at all. Most of the jobs, of course, especially if you're at nonprofit or state level, they don't have the funds, they don't have this, so they still expect you to work and do what you're supposed to do while you're struggling to pay your bills as well. Like I said, that's what I haven't encountered that a lot, because I'm a single woman, I don't have any kids, that kind of thing. But for those who do have kids and do have families, they encounter that, from what I understand, a lot. And I have talked to a lot of them, because I work with them, of course. And like I said, a lot of them did have to work a second job in order to make ends meet and that kind of thing as well. And just to give you, I guess, another thing as far as the field of social work and the student loans, I know a lot of folks have student loans. Of course, I know that. It's not just social workers, everybody across the board. A lot of adults have, I'm sure, probably 50,000 or more in loans and all that kind of stuff anyway. But just keep in mind, when you do have the student loans you're getting out of college, student loan companies can care less how much money you're making. They expect for you to go ahead and pay those loans and pay the debt that you owe. But just keep in mind that sometimes, a lot of the times in this field, since you're not getting the same comparable salary, in order to pay $1,000, $2,000 a month or whatever your student loan payment is, that you may have to get like a decreased payment, that kind of thing, in order to keep up with your payments and keep them in good standing, or forbearance, or that kind of thing. Like I said, from a lot of us, which I talk myself included, we had a lot of student loans, a lot more student loans than our student loans equal way more than our salary, I guess I put it that way. And like I said, as far as having to pay all that and trying to figure out how to pay of course, your daily living, and then having to pay your student loans and stuff like that is very hard. But like I said, for those who do work in the nonprofit and social work, they will, of course, let you, I believe you have to pay it every month for 10 years or 20 years. Well, nowadays they do that. Back then they didn't do all this. But now in the last, maybe less than 7-8 years, you can do this now. As far as working for a nonprofit, and that well, I guess the government setting, whatever kind of rate for you, every month, pay your student loans, that kind of thing, and then they'll write it off after 10 or 15, 20 years, whatever that time period is. Like I said, they have a program like that now. They didn't have it back then when I graduated, but they do have it now, that you can do things like that. I guess I put it that way. But just keep in mind, working for a nonprofit, you barely get a lot of money at all. Like I said, I know that's in Missouri. It may be everywhere, I'm not sure, but in Missouri, you don't get a lot at all working for nonprofits. Actually, like I said, working in the field, period. Like I said, I'm not trying to be Debbie Downer or that kind of thing. I'm trying to tell you the truth as I see it in this field, and what's the truth that they're not teaching you. I guess I'd say that. And that's what I've seen from talking, like I said, working in this field for 20 years and talking to my coworkers and learning their stories and that kind of thing. It does not sustain a lifestyle if you're wanting to, of course, have all those extra luxuries and travel and do all these things. Yes, you can do some of those things, but you're going to have to save up in order to do that. I guess I put it that way, not just get up and go tomorrow and go have this and go have this trip and do all these things. Like I said, if you have bills, you have a household, you're struggling yourself on the salary that you're making. So yes, you will have to, of course, if you can at some point, cut down some of those bills in order to, of course, pay for a trip that you want to take once a year or that kind of thing, if that. So like I said, a lot of my coworkers, a lot of them could not do that at the time. I didn't do it a lot, I guess, back then, but now I try to do it now. I guess I'd say that as far as trying to save up for trips and that kind of thing. But just keep in mind that it is hard on this social worker salary, especially if you have a family, you have kids you're trying to raise and that kind of thing. It's definitely very hard. A lot of the women I work with, because it is a woman-dominated field, a lot of them did have families and kids at home. So like I said, do keep that in mind if you're looking to go into this field. Another thing as far as going into the field of social work, just keep in mind that it is a high turnover rate. A lot of my coworkers, I cannot speak for myself with this one because I did not take my work home, but a lot of people did take their work home, as far as all the stories that they heard every day, all the bad stories, because a lot of that stuff sticks in your mind. Maybe that was molested or that kind of thing, or somebody that was homeless, or this woman is getting beat every day, but she keeps going back to this man. Some folks can't release those things when they walk out their office doors. And they're taking all those things home. They're stressed out at home, worrying about the clients, worrying about what's going on, instead of tending to, I guess, to themselves and to their own families. And sometimes that does cause burnout. Well, I ain't gonna say sometimes, a lot of times that did cause burnout. A lot of times, of course, my coworkers were complaining of headaches, not feeling well, taking off work, some, of course, quitting their jobs, all those kind of things. Like I said, it is a high turnover rate in the field of social work, depending on what kind of program you're working in. I guess I put it that way. And I can tell you, I worked in the nonprofit and I worked in the state sector, and both of those are definitely high turnover. I can tell you that. And like I said, I haven't heard of one yet that was not high turnover, but those are definitely high turnovers. Like I said, the main thing you have to realize working in this field is that you cannot take your work home. You have to realize that there is a work and life balance. And actually, just for social work, for whatever you're working, you have to realize that there's a life and work balance, that you cannot always take your work home with you, that it will cause a rift in your relationships at home with your spouse or your partner, your kids. You're coming home angry or upset or stressed out, your head is hurting, you can't cook dinner, you don't feel well, your back hurt, you're having all these aches and pains and just stressed out. Yes, that will start affecting everything and everybody in your life. And you have to realize that at some point. Like I said, I saw a lot of my coworkers quit, take ill, all kind of things, blood pressure high, all kind of things. Like I said, we have to learn in this field to definitely take care of yourself. Self-care is very important. I know they will tell you that probably in some, I don't know if they even talked about it in school. I don't remember them talking about self-care while I was going in the field of social work as I think about it. But that's definitely very, very important. Like I said, you have to know where to cut off your work once you make it home. I guess I put it that way. You want to think about it in the car or whatever you want to do, that's kind of up to you. But once you get home, you have to take off that work hat and put on your mommy hat, your daddy hat, your wife hat, your husband hat, all those kind of things. Like I said, if not, you will start impacting those relationships that you have. I have seen some of the some of the coworkers I did have in the past, a few did lose, of course, their partners because of the high work stress and they not knowing how to separate their work from their home life. That does take a toll on your partner as well and your kids, with the constant complaining, the constant my head hurt, the constant I can't do this, I'm sick of my job, all these kind of things, and the constant, I'm sure some of them were picking arguments and were just upset, just had all this frustration going on instead of releasing that stuff at the office door when they left the office. Like I said, the field of social work is a very high turnover rate. And one thing, like I said, you have to know how to balance all of that. And that's going to be something that whoever is looking to go into this field or that is still in this field now, like I said, you have to learn how to balance that. You also have to learn how to have a very, very thick skin. In all the jobs I worked in, I have been cursed out. I have been called bitches and hoes and fuck you hoe, or just all kind of stuff. Some of the coworkers I've had have been shot at. I put it that way, with actual guns, and shot at, trying to go into someone's house with the authorities to, of course, remove a child or that kind of thing from their home. They've been shot at. I've had coworkers that has been jumped on, I guess I put it that way. At one point, I was almost about to get jumped on by this woman that was cursing me out as well, that kind of thing. And it was just, like I said, you have to really, really have tough skin. Like I said, on the phone, you can get cursed out. I know they don't tell you all that in school as far as what you're going to deal with, but you're dealing with folks that a lot of times they have really no education, that are in bad situations as far as unemployment, on drugs, domestic violence situations, all homelessness. And some of them do not know, of course, how to read, nor how to write. And, of course, they have a lot of frustrations as well because of a lot of those things, or all of those things. And, yes, they don't, some of them do, a lot of them do not have, what is it called, the soft skills in order, I guess, to know how to talk to you in a mannerable way and in a good way. And some cannot express themselves well. So, yes, some of them will curse, some of them will go off on you, some of them will get upset in a blink of an eye, want to holler at you, want to jump at you, want to try to hit you, all kind of things. I've been in all those situations. Like I said, you really have to have tough skin coming into this field. I guess in the jobs I worked at, which I will talk to y'all about those once I get farther in the series. But like I said, you really have to have tough skin. Just always remember that. And I know with me, I grew up in those kind of environments with all those kind of situations, with people on welfare, or people getting Section 8, or domestic violence situations in my own home, drug usage, all those kind of things. So I already knew how to build rapport with people like that and how to deal with people like that, I guess I put it that way. But a lot of my coworkers, of course, were not from the neighborhoods I may have come from, or not well versed in the areas that I've come from, or not even talk to anybody that was black, or not even talk to anybody that was homeless, or not even talk to anybody that did not know how to read or even pick up that they couldn't read. Not even talk to anybody that has ever been on drugs or knew what that looked like. I knew what a battered woman looked like when she's coming in crying but still going back to her partner. A lot of my I can't say a lot, some of the coworkers I work with did not know how to handle those situations at all. They're coming from environments where everything was peachy keen, everything was all nice and dandy. And coming into a field of social work, you're going to deal with a lot of different kinds of people, and you're going to have to figure out a way that you can relate to those people as far as trying to build rapport, build trust with them. So I can tell you right now, a lot of them will pick up right away, like within like a few minutes, I guess, in talking to you, whether they can trust you or not, and whether they're actually going to be truthful to you or not, whether they're actually going to talk to you or not, or whether they're going to work with you or not. Like I said, a lot of them will pick that up right away. And yes, a lot of my coworkers were, of course, offended or upset, or so and so don't want to do this, so and so don't want to do that. I don't know what's going on. And sometimes it was them because they could not relate to the clients, and they could not have empathy for the clients. They could not walk in their client's shoes, even though they haven't been through that situation. You have to learn how to walk in somebody else's shoes to experience what they're experiencing, and not just judge them from, oh, you shouldn't do this because this man is beating you. You need to leave him today, or you shouldn't do this because drugs are bad. They all know that. I'm pretty sure. I'm pretty sure they've been told that by their family, friends, and whoever else they've been talking to. They don't need another person to come in and judge them from I guess just from the get-go with not even knowing their story. Just take the time out to get to know their story, know who they are, and know what their strengths are. Because I always try to build from the positive. That's one thing I would tell you all that's entering this field. Try to always build from the positive. No matter if that person is on drugs, maybe that person can sing their ass off. Maybe they can draw very well. Maybe they're a good mentor to the kids still to try to get them to not use drugs. Like I said, there's all kind of positive things that people have that we have to hone in on and draw in on, instead of the judginess and the negativeness and, oh, you shouldn't do this, and what, I guess, putting our 2 cents in on their life when we have no idea what they even struggled through and what they even went through. Like I said, that's one thing you have to realize in the field of social work, that if you're bullshitting your way through, you're being too judgy, people are going to jump all over you with that, client-wise. I mean, your coworkers may also, but like I said, coming from a client's perspective, they will jump all over you and go off on you and treat you like dirt. I guess I put it that way, because they know that you don't know what the hell you're doing. So like I said, you have to find a way to relate to people that you have never dealt with before. I don't care what kind of situation they're in, but you have to learn how to, of course, have empathy for them, to walk in their shoes and know what their story are, ask them what their story is, in order to, of course, best serve them and not just judge them because of the life that you've had. I'm trying to see if there's anything else that I can give you as far as knowledge about the field that I've encountered. I think those are the main things that I've encountered, that I know: the high burnout rate, the judging and stuff like that, and to learning how to deal with people just in life in general, and learning how to have thick skin. Like I said, those are the main things that I learned up front. I guess I put it that way. I knew those things already, but getting a dose of reality as far as actually being a professional instead of my cousin, my friend, my neighbor, and those kind of situations. Because being a professional, you actually have to, there's a certain line that you cannot cross, I guess I put it that way, as far as the ethics go in this field and that kind of thing. I don't think I'm going to get into that, but I think you all probably know that there is, of course, ethical in any kind of helping field. You can, of course, date your clients. You can, of course, take your clients home. I mean, all those kind of things, of course, the things you're not supposed to do as far as like being a professional. And I guess, working with clients and working with people and that kind of thing. I think hopefully we all know that. I know some may not, but I'm hoping that what you're looking at this video, you can kind of pick that up. I guess I would say that. Because like I said, there are things that you're not supposed to do working in this field with your clients. You're not supposed to date your clients, buy your clients stuff, take money from your clients, anything along those lines at all. Like I said, all those kind of things are a no-no. I think in a lot of the helping fields that there are no-nos anyway. And actually a lot of the client professional relationships, I believe across the board, a lot of that stuff is a no-no ethically. I guess I put it that way. So I'm trying to see if there's anything else. I'm trying to see if there's anything else that I've missed. So I talked about, of course, becoming a social worker, the bachelor's degree you have to have. I'm trying to see if there's anything else. I talked about the salary and some of the experiences I've had as far as being a social worker. I'm not going to get more into depth about things, because I do want to talk about those in future videos in the series that I have, like I said, coming to you all. This is just the first video, so I just kind of want to give you all like an overview, kind of like the bigger lessons that I've learned, and kind of what I went through, I guess, as far as like I said, my lessons, my experiences, how I got my degree, all those kind of things, what it took, and which I didn't really talk about that, but like I said, it just took 4 years of college in the field of social work. So like I said, there's, of course, undergrad classes you have to take: history, math, science, all those kind of things, and then there's, of course, your core classes. Your core classes in social work, like social work theory. I don't know what the classes are called now. Of course, I have to take some psychology classes, sociology classes, things like that as well. I'm trying to see what the classes I took. And we did a practicum as well, which is usually like an unpaid internship for 2 semesters actually in order for you to graduate. And I'm thinking that's probably for most schools that you have to do that in order to graduate with your bachelor's degree and that kind of thing. I'm trying to see if there's really nothing really to talk about as far as I guess like the actual classroom work. The one thing I will say is that I have, of course, over the course of these 20 years, I have, of course, been interviewed by different like students, I guess like in like various social work school programs, and wanted to interview me on like my thoughts about the field and how I felt about it and that kind of thing, and my experiences and all that kind of stuff. Like I said, my main thing was making sure that I told them the truth about the field. And in these videos, no, I'm not going to lie about anything that I've seen. Well, I'm not going to give names, of course, but I'm not going to lie about anything that I've seen or anything that didn't go right, anything that was like whether it was a salary or whatever it was. Like I said, I will give you all my truth sense in this whole entire series. Actually, in all the videos that I do, but I just want to make sure that you all know that. There's not going to be any sugarcoating anything. I'm sure you all probably know that by now by looking at the other videos that I've done, but there will not be any sugarcoating of anything. And with that being said, I just want to say one more thing before I end this video, that when you're in school getting your degree in social work, like I said, a lot of teachers would not talk about a lot of the downsides to the field of social work, which I'm going to talk about that in these videos. Like I said, they never tell you that you'll get cursed up by your clients, or that you're going to have a hard time dealing with your clients if you don't know how to have empathy, or you have to take care of yourself and have better self-care than you can do anybody else. I guess I put it that way, working in this field, because it's a high turnover rate. They won't tell you all those things. They'll tell you all the education behind everything, and a lot of the education that I learned I have not used in this field. They will go over like a lot of theories and eco maps and different tools that you can use. All the jobs that you go to, just keep in mind will have their own tools that you can use. I didn't use anything that I got from school at all, to be honest. None of those theories, none of those eco maps, none of the psychologists, none of those anything. Everything that I've learned in this field, I've learned, of course, with my background growing up in it. But as far as actually professionally working, I learned at that job. It wasn't that I had to look at my social work book to figure out what was going on with this client, what was going on with that client. Along the line somewhere, I pick those things up immediately, but some people just can't. But as far as dealing with those kind of things, you usually pick them up as you go along, learning how to build rapport, because they do not talk about that in the school of social work at all, to my knowledge. When I went to school for it, they don't talk about how to build rapport with your clients, how to build trust with your clients, how to have empathy, none of those kind of things. And like I said, all the theories that I learned, all the things that we had to study, none of that stuff was used in this field at all so far in my 20 years. None of those things, not even a definition of anything that I've actually had in those books was used. Like I said, everything that I did in this field and used in this field was actually just done at that particular business and at the particular office. And it wasn't from the school of social work book or the Piaget's theory about kids, anything. It was just from that job and what their criteria was and what their grants and I guess donors will allow them to do. Like I said, that was what my experience, I guess, have been as far as what I learned in the school of social work and what's actually applied in real life. Like I said, none of those things were actually applied in real life that I learned. But of course, some of those things you may be able to pick up as far as maybe using a theory, I guess like parts of a theory, working with somebody or how to talk to somebody, that kind of thing. If you don't have those skills, then yes, you can use those things. But like I said, for majority of it, you will have to do with whatever that agency is telling you to do as far as what kind of tools they want you to use, what kind of forms, what kind of theories, whatever you're going to do. I guess they're telling you to use what you have to do with that particular job. So I'm trying to see if there's anything else that I want to talk about right now. There's probably not. Nope, there probably isn't. Okay. So I just want to say thank you again for listening. This is my first video in this series talking about social work, kind of what to expect in this field. And like I said, I will go over more of this stuff later on in this series, but I just want to welcome you to my first actual series on, I guess, dealing with like the field of social work and dealing with employees, employers, and that kind of thing. And I'll get into that as well later on in this series. But I just want to welcome you all to this. So like I said, if you please comment down below, because I do want to talk to you all and see who you all are and see what kind of thoughts you may have about this video, how can improve for the next one, or if there's anything that you want to hear about the field of social work. Also put that in the comments so I can, of course, address that in the videos to come. So like I said again, thank you all for tuning in. This is Tonetta Clay with Truth Sense, and I do welcome you to this channel again. And if you have not done so, down below or to your side, I think it's probably to your right side, make sure you click the notification bell and subscribe to my channel. And I hope to see you on the next video. Everybody have a great evening and take care.